And welcome back to Bayou Time. I'm Martin False, and with me, we have a candidate for Louisiana Attorney General. And let's meet him first of all. He's State Representative John Stefanski, and been in the state legislature for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And a Republican, but more importantly, Notre Dame of Crowley. That's what caught me right away because we played him in high school. Tough. They could knock the snot out of you in football. They just always came at you. But a Crowley boy.
That's it. Yeah. Went to a Notre Dame Pio, as we say, the Pioneers, and graduated there in 2002, won a state championship in 2000.
Yeah.
So was proud of that. But yeah, born and raised in Crowley, lived there my whole life. Other than the time that I spent in going to college and law school, moved back, and my parents still live there. So it's a special place.
Mm-hmm. So you spent 7 years in the legislature. What made you want to make this move?
Yeah, so the timing is right. I've done 2 terms in the legislature. I could run for one more, but really this is a position that's so incredibly important in our state, and I really feel like my background and my experience in the legislature just lends itself incredibly well to the Attorney General's office, and it's quite honestly it's the only position I'm interested in or would be interested in, and it's just a great opportunity to serve this state and help improve, and we need a lot of improving.
Yeah. We see the platforms that come across the state, but that also morph into the national platform. And current AG Jeff Landry has been so vocal and has sort of stepped over from state into the federal realm, and we see a lot of that. But what are some of the platforms that you would feel passionate about if elected?
Yeah, and so I'll tell you the federal division of the office of the Attorney General's office is incredibly important, and so under my leadership we'll continue to have an active federal litigation team. But I'll be honest with you, the problem of crime in this state is really hurting our ability to be able to attract jobs and attract people to this state. Louisiana really has an image problem when it comes to crime right now, and the Attorney General's office has a criminal division, and I think we can do more with that division to help with the crime problem throughout this state, but especially in our major cities. And so that's something I'm really passionate about in helping to improve. I want to beef up that division, make sure that we're doing everything we can to support our law enforcement throughout the state and really support our district attorneys in this state to help get some of these crime problems under our control.
I sort of live in a cocoon around here, and we're very local here, but what are you hearing statewide? Is this problem with crime and ridiculousness, I should say, really rampant all over the state?
It is. We're seeing, it's prime, we're hearing the most about it in our major cities. We have 3 of the top 10 cities with crime, between Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and New Orleans. But you see it in our smaller communities. As I travel the state and I go parish by parish, you sense a common theme, a rise in juvenile crime. We see a tremendous rise in juvenile crime, a rise in the fentanyl epidemic, which is really going on, and the deaths associated with that. But in just a lack of respect for law enforcement and a lack of consequences in some cases. And so, I think what I'm hearing is that the citizens of Louisiana are having enough of that, and they want to really see candidates who have a strong platform when it comes to getting it under control. And so I really do. I think the Attorney General's office is in a really unique position to be able to directly help. Yeah.
What about fentanyl? You brought that up, and that's I don't know. I've been on this news desk for 40 years. It used to be crack cocaine. It was different things. Heroin and fentanyl were not in the equation back then. Now, it's everywhere you go.
It's everywhere you go. And fentanyl, the problem with it is the deadliness. I brought a bill this year that just became effective on the 1st, which basically created some of the harshest penalties in the entire nation if you're caught distributing fentanyl. And the need for that are a couple things. Number one, it's extremely deadly. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill you, a tiny, tiny amount, basically the tip of a pencil. And so and then secondly, the proliferation of it. It is being cut into every single drug. It's been cut into heroin to increase the potency, into cocaine, into methamphetamines, and even in some cases we've heard it's being cut into marijuana. And so it's killing our citizens. Just in Baton Rouge alone, I believe they had over 300 deaths last year just dealing with fentanyl. And so it's something that we need to eradicate and run out of this state. And in my opinion, we need to model our laws after the old heroin laws, where it used to be in this state, if you dealt heroin, you went to jail for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I really do think we need to do the same thing with fentanyl, and that's what my bill did. It mirrored a lot of the ways that we used to treat heroin, and you can go to jail for the rest of your life now in Louisiana if you're caught dealing it.
Is that what your bill said? We got about a minute left of
Yeah.
this segment. Tell me a little bit about that bill.
Yeah, so it basically created a tiered approach. So minimum sentences if you're caught dealing, depending on the amount that you deal, up to 250 grams. If you're caught dealing over 250 grams of a drug that has fentanyl in it, you can face up to life in prison on a first offense. And then on a third offense for those lower amounts, you can face life in prison. But it's one of the stiffest penalties on the books in our nation. And it was done with the support of the Sheriff's Association and the District Attorneys Association. And I was proud to carry that and get their support throughout the process on it. And I think it's, look, all I can do is talk to, the people that deal with it on a daily basis, which is our law enforcement, our DAs, and they say it's gonna help with the problem.
So to get rid of Narcan too, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, we need Narcan to bring people
Well, we
back.
need it now,
Yeah,
but maybe with these tougher laws, might not need it as much.
well, that's the hope. The hope
Yeah.
is to run this stuff out of our state. And look, if you're 18 to 45, the most likely reason you're going to die in Louisiana is a fentanyl overdose.
It's such a focused position. I mean, we hear about the Attorney General all the time. They're involved in everything. And of course, depending on your nature, you could be a quiet Attorney General or you could be in the news every day.
Yeah.
Because it has a lot of power that goes with it. What about the power that office has? During the break, I sort of said unbridled, because that's the way it's perceived amongst people. You said unbridled might be going too far, but it is a powerful position.
Very powerful position. I probably would argue this is the second most important position in the state, next to the governor. It really is.
And he has line item veto.
Yeah, he's got that line out of veto. But as you've seen, really over these last 8 years with the relationship between our governor and the attorney general, it provides an important check on the governor as well. It's important that those two positions are independent of each other, so that you have the ability in that office to be able to say, well, governor, maybe you have gone too far, or maybe this isn't in the best interest of Louisiana. So I think that's an important role of it. But in our daily lives, that office is just incredibly important. You mentioned a few minutes ago that really the insurance crisis that we're dealing with, where citizens have been fighting their insurance company that they have paid money to, that they were counting on to have their back should a catastrophe hit. And now all of a sudden they're in an adversarial position. And the AG's office, that's the role of the office. The role of the office is to protect the citizens of the state. It's your attorney. That's the AG. And when you have companies that aren't holding up their end of the bargain, and when you have companies that have injured our citizens in a number of different ways, it's the attorney general that should be there ready to step up to defend us.
And as a representative, you're sort of tuned into your area as an attorney general statewide, and you got to morph into some of the things that are happening. Ida didn't hit the whole state.
Yep.
But it sure came over Terrebonne, Lafourche, and St. Mary, and Jefferson, and all those areas. So are you hearing that a lot when you talk to people in this area? Insurance coming up a lot?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, where I'm from in Crowley, Louisiana, I'm basically a coastal parish, even though I'm not right on the coast.
You're
but
a rice guy in agriculture.
Yeah, I'm a rice guy.
Yeah.
Crowley, it's rice and crawfish. And so, but I will tell you, we're very close to Lake Charles. And a lot of my friends and family live in Lake Charles, are dealing with very, very similar situations as you were dealing with here on the coast. And so, yeah, and the common theme is people frustrated with their insurance companies, and because, look, at the end of the day, that's why we get insurance. We get insurance for these situations. If you're a coastal parish and you own a home down here, you buy insurance thinking a hurricane could hit and it could destroy my home. And when the insurance companies are not there to pay what are accurate damages and what are the value of your home and the damages you sustained, people are frustrated and they're angry. And I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that throughout the coast in Louisiana. And look, as Attorney General, really the Attorney General's office is in, like we just talked about, a perfect position to be able to step up and support those citizens when the insurance companies aren't holding up their end of the bargain.
Not to mention the mental health of the people.
Yep.
When they have to go through it. I've seen in this area, just for example, in Terrebonne and Lafourche and Jefferson, Grand Isle resident, they're tired.
Yep.
They are worn out from fighting with the insurance companies. And I know we're getting more into the insurance, but it wears people out to where they want to give up or they want to move. They don't ever want to have to do this again. What could you tell them that would just say, man, I'm on your team. I can do it, They want to know you have the fight in you to do that.
Absolutely. No, I would tell you that. I think that the citizens of Louisiana are tired. They're tired of fighting just to rebuild, and they're tired of fighting with the insurance companies. And I can tell you, as the next AG, I'm ready to take up that fight for them. Because enough is enough. If we're going into what, year 3 now? 2.5, 3 years. They're frustrated. They're ready to find a resolution, and I'm ready to use the full extent of the office to be able to get those people back in their homes and get them, justice at the end of the day, which is what it is. Because when you get to this point, enough really is enough. And look, at the end of the day, I'm running for Attorney General because I love to serve. I have a calling to serve, and I would rather spend my time fighting for the people of Louisiana than doing anything else. And that's the motivation.
Now, John, I don't know you. You have a thick skin?
Yeah, very thick skin. Yeah, very. You have to. Don't get into politics if you can't take some criticism.
So you could read the Facebook and go,
Well, I tell you, social media is just it's tough, because you give every single person an ability to be able to have a platform, and some people even maybe irrational thoughts that they get a platform on, and so you have to have thick skin, But I think this is representative government. We come to the citizens, we come to you, and we go, please entrust this office with me, and I'm going to do a good job. And if people believe you're not doing a good job, you have to be willing to hear that. But also, the citizens have to be willing to hear our side of it as well, because our job is not easy a lot of the times. You have to take a lot of different interests and try to make the best decision for your area. And not everyone's always going to agree with that. But I think the vast majority of people are trying to do the right thing and trying to help improve this state.
And real quick, I think you're relatively much younger than me for sure. So y'all grew up with this social media.
Yeah.
So y'all know how to maneuver through it. And
Well, I do. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but it has its pros and its cons. It allows you to be able to reach a lot of people quickly, but it also allows you to get that criticism very quickly.
Right.
But look, that's what we signed up for. We did, and look, I love serving. I just do. It's been a great honor being a state representative. It would be an incredible honor to be the next Attorney General. And look, I'm going to keep fighting for this state as long as I have the ability to be able to do it.
All right, John Stefanski, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. There you have it, a candidate for Attorney General of Louisiana. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.